you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K, on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K, on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K, on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K, on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K,
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K, on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K, on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K, on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K, on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K, on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre, McGuire, and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche. And after 22 years, Raymond Moore
The sickest NHL podcast. It's gonna be sick.
And welcome to another edition of the Eye Test here in the Sick Podcast Network. He is Pierre McGuire. I am Jimmy Murphy. Pierre, how are you?
I'm good. You know what I enjoyed last night? I enjoyed watching Utah and Buffalo. It was a great goalie showdown. People say, oh, no goals, no fun. There were some amazing saves by Alex Lyon and Carl Milk in that game. It was an outstanding game. Love the quick strike offensive capability of Utah going into Toronto tonight. It'll be interesting to see how Toronto handles that. This Utah team is Coach Tourney's doing a real good job with this team. They're fun to watch.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I really enjoyed last night, and I don't want to put it in a bad light, but the Canadiens game. If you're a fan of the Flyers, you love the first period and you're thrilled. But if you're a fan of the Canes, you're really mad and disappointed and to the point where you're almost shocked. And then you watch the second period and you're like, oh boy, Montreal's good. And then you watch the third period and you're like, Montreal's good and Philly's not so bad. You know, and so it was a fun game. I enjoyed watching that game. It was fun to watch. You know?
There's a lot of games that have been like that this year, Pierre. I mean, I was just looking at it before we came on. Last night we had 7 one-goal games and 5 games that went to extra time, whether it was a shootout or overtime. And it's just the parity on a night-by-night basis right now is amazing to me.
What's this message before the season started? What has to happen? It's not about the coaches and the players this year.
Nope. It's about management. It's about management, and we'll get it. And there's a couple teams I want to talk about that with, but two things I want to talk about quickly, Pierre. On a positive note, the Ducks, who we have been high on from the get-go since the summer, Cutter Gauthier, who you hyped up pretty big here. We had him on early before he got to Anaheim when he was still at Boston College. It's great to see this stuff coming to fruition in Anaheim. They're really reaching their potential, and the young guys are starting to realize that we can do this. You know, like we've taken the steps to where now we can just sort of play and be a contender.
You know why the young guys can do that? Because Pat Verbeek hasn't been afraid to go out and spend some money and get some older guys to mentor them, whether it's Jacob Trouba on the back end, whether it's Chris Kreider up front, whether it's Alex Killorn up front. Leo Carlson and Cutter Gauthier, the real deal. Mason McTavish, these are really good young players. I don't think we talk enough about a player like Troy Terry out of the University of Denver. Who's an older guy who's been around a little bit now. And so he's kind of the bridge between those older guys, Killorn, Stanley Cup winner, Kreider, you know, obviously a guy that's played in the Stanley Cup final, and you know, Trouba. And so a guy like Troy Terry is kind of the bridge for those players going to the younger players. It's kind of neat to see. They're for real. They're not going away. And I know people are saying, well, Florida's banged up and they're hurt. I know, I get that. We all do. And I feel terrible for Paul Maurice, but they still got a lot of good players there.
Yeah, they still do.
They still have a lot of good players.
And they'll be back. I don't think they're sitting in the basement for the rest of the season. We've seen how quickly teams are going up and down the standings on a night-by-night basis. The other game, Pierre, the Minnesota Wild with the controversial goal at the end, Marcus Johansson, who, by the way,
Almost 1,000 games.
Right, and quietly is on fire right now, Pierre. He has been in fuego for the Wild lately. Good for him. He's one of those guys, too, that just keeps ticking. He's not flashy. He just goes out there, he does his job, and he gets clutch points, and that was another one there. But for people who are, and I get Nashville fans are upset right now, but for people that are still complaining, saying it shouldn't have been a goal, by the rule of the law, it was a goal. And that's it.
First of all, the goaltender who was playing for Nashville, Anoinen, he kept pushing the net off. He did it the sequence before too. And the referee made the right call. And I give, you know, everybody credit for not blowing the whistle early, number one, and number two, not quitting on the play. You know, just a couple things on Marcus Johansson, by the way. Marcus Johansson was part of the Washington Capitals. George McPhee and his group drafted him.
Yep.
I remember being at the World Junior in 2010 in Regina and Saskatoon. Marcus was playing for the Swedes. He was really good, Jimmy. Like at that level, he was you knew he was going to be a long NHL player, barring injury. And George McPhee wasn't sure if he was a centerman or a winger. He wasn't sure, Jimmy. He just wasn't sure. So George finally said, we're just going to take him and play him wherever he has to play. When Marcus Johansson ended up in Minnesota, the guy that did the heavy duty due diligence for Billy Guerin was a late Ray Shero.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of heavy lifting to unearth everything about Marcus before Billy got him. And you see how great Marcus has been, Jimmy. I mean, he's been really good.
And
really
it's funny you tell the story about they didn't know if he was a winger or a center, because when I think Marcus Johansson, and I got to cover him up close when he came over at the deadline in 2019 and was on that Bruins team that went to the Cup that year, I just think Swiss Army knife. Like, that's the type he's, like sometimes we say that about players in baseball. You got the guy that can play shortstop and second and third or whatever. He's that hockey version of that. And I've always looked at him that way. So it's cool that you tell that story.
Well, that's George. And then the other one I remember is Washington did really well in Sweden in those days. They had a scout, a longtime scout, Ea Johansson, who lived near Tyringe on the west coast of Sweden. And he was an amazing gentleman, a good hockey man. And then obviously it grew and guys started to take advantage. But you think about Nicky Backstrom, you obviously think about Marcus Johansson, and you look at some of the players that were in Washington's program that they acquired even in trades, like Kalle Johansson. Yep. They did such a good job with all those guys. Washington was always Philip Forsberg.
Yeah.
Drafted in Washington. Yep. They always did I don't know how they did it, but I think Ea Johansson was one of those guys, and they did a really good job cultivating players in Sweden, Washington for a long time.
Player used to coach. I'm not forgive me for not knowing if he started his career there. I think he did. Michael Nylander. Did he start with the Coppers?
We had Michael in Hartford.
Yep.
We had Michael in Hartford.
Yeah. Saw him for a cup of tea here in Boston. Good stuff there. Hey, by the way, speaking of Boston, Pierre, we're going to have the legendary Jack Parker, longtime Boston University head coach, and also new inductee into the Hall of Fame. He will be inducted this coming Monday. You will be there. Really excited to have Jack on the show here, and he'll be joining us shortly here in the eye test. We'll talk to him about his storied career and what it feels like to go into the Hall of Fame. And Pierre, speaking of the Hall of Fame, I told you I had a good conversation with Glenn Murray today, and we spoke about his former teammate, Joe Thornton. Yeah. And Muzz was just, thrilled for his buddy. They've remained really tight friends there. He'll be there. He said to say he'll see you there in Toronto. Looking forward to catching up with you. But it was good. It was good looking back on Joe's career with him. And, one thing he said about Joe Thornton, I was glad he said it, and he wanted me to make sure it gets in the story I'm writing, is that Joe, for some reason, and I get it, he's got that personality off the ice, the surfer dude, the laid back dude, whatever, but people just sort of pegged that on him when it came to being on the ice. And as Glenn said, that was the furthest thing from the truth. He said he's one of, if not the most competitive players I ever played with.
Well, so we agree on that. We never rehearsed that. I will never forget his presence in the 2010 Olympic team for Canada, and there was major pressure on all those guys. And he was one of the guys that could help decompress everybody. Taves was another guy that could help decompress everybody. Drew Doughty, Pronger, Niedermeyer, but there were certain guys that held a little bit more sway, and Joe was one of them. And he had never won a Stanley Cup. I mean, when you think, and he never did win a Stanley Cup. But when you think about in that room with all the guys that had won the Cup, all the guys that had played for the Cup, and Joe had never even at that point ever even been to the final.
Yeah, it was amazing. What a career he had there. And he got San Jose there. What was it, 2016?
Yeah. They
almost did it, but happy to see him go in there as well. And you and I were talking about Alexander McGillney and just what a great player he is. I'm really excited to watch that ceremony. You love it, and it must be such an honor for you to be part of that, Pierre.
Every day I pinch myself. I every day that I do work preparing for our show and for preparing for all the shows that I do around hockey, I always think about, okay, is this person worthy to be nominated? If he is or she is, why? And I always jot different notes down and I study them, religiously, and I really pay attention to it. I'll never forget when Lanny McDonald called me. I'll never forget that. As long as I was in our house in Connecticut, I had just come back from a long road trip. pick up my phone. I don't recognize the number. I said, hello. And he goes, Pierre McGuire? I go, yep. He goes, Lanny McDonald. I go, Lanny. You knew it was Lanny. It wasn't a joke. And he says, I have an offer for you. And I was like, oh, okay. What is it? And he says, would you like to be on our selection committee? And I'm like, which one? And he goes, the Hockey Hall of Fame. I go, are you serious? He goes, I'm dead serious. And I had to sit down on my bed.
Yeah.
I was like, really? Is this like a prank? I thought I was getting pranked.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, I'm dead serious. And you come amazingly recommended by numerous people. And I'm like, well, I'm honored. And he goes, you don't get paid for this. I go,
Right.
You don't have to pay me. You don't have to pay me. I'm so flattered and honored. And I said, I can't wait to get on there. And here we are almost 8 years later.
That's amazing. I don't, if you can't answer this, Pierre, I understand, because a lot of things are sort of, delicate, and there's a lot of rules about what you can say. But I always wondered, in terms of, I imagine you were just talking about how you take notes down and why would this person be good. So I imagine, each person on the committee has different sort of ways of viewing a player and kind of judging them. But is there one common, besides points, obviously, besides the obvious stuff, is there one common thread you've found that when you get down and you sit down and you're talking with people about a player, they have to have this?
Well, there's certain people that I talk to a little bit more than others, not because it's anything that I don't like about other people. It's just that, I've known these people longer. Like Brian Burke hired me in Hartford, so I know him really well. I coached against Joe Sakic for a really long time. So you get to know certain people on the committee, maybe a little bit more than others. Really good friends with Igor Larionov. So, I think everybody's kind of got their own vision for that, Jimmy. Okay. I don't want to speak for anybody else in the committee. I'll just say for me, I never try to impose my vision before we meet on anybody, and nobody's ever tried to do that to me either.
Good. Nice. And what are the debates like? Do they get heated, or are they cordial?
It is. Here's all I do know. There are 18 of us in that room. The professionalism of the people that participate would blow anybody away. And I've said this numerous times, and they're like, nope, not happening. They should do a reality TV show on that process.
That would be amazing.
I think people would be floored by how thorough, professional, and proud the people are on that committee.
I think fans would eat that up. Look at it. It's such a thing now. We see what Prime does all the time now with their stuff. That's a great idea. I wonder if they'd ever do it.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Knowing how guarded everything is there, I can't see it.
It's sometimes there's just
respect.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's the word respect more than anything else. But we have an amazing, you think about it. The class going in this year: Duncan Keith, Joe Thornton, Zdeno Chara, Jen Bottrell, Alex McGillney, Coach Parker, and Danielle Sauvageau. I'm just telling you, Jimmy, that's an amazing class.
It's insane.
That's an unbelievable class.
Yeah, it's amazing. And we'll get Coach Parker on here in a second. We're still waiting for him, but take us back, Pierre.
I forgot one other person too. I forgot Brianna Decker. Brianna Decker, and she is. I did so many Olympics and women's worlds. She was so good for so long. And so efficient. She was. You talk about 200-foot players like Patrice Bergeron. She was that player on the women. She was so good in every zone. A phenomenal player. I'm glad. I was thinking, I know I'm missing somebody, and I'm like, oh, it's got to be Brianna Decker.
You got her.
Sorry, Brianna.
Going back, Pierre, can you remember the first time you met Jack Parker?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was coaching at Babson College. Steve Sterling and he had been together at Boston University. And in the summertime, we ran a huge thing called the Europa Cup. And a lot of the BU players, David Quinn, Eddie Lowney, Tad Doherty, Bobby Deraney, I'm just dropping BU players left, right, and center, Johnny Cullen, they all work for us. They all work for us. So Coach Parker would come over, and it's funny because they took Tony Amonte out of that program, who went to Thayer, and they took Keith Kachuk out of that program, who went to Malta Catholic. Everybody was there all summer long watching all these players,
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that was probably, I'm going to say that was probably 84, 85, right in there. I coached against Coach Parker too. When I was at St. Lawrence, they came up on a northern swing. BC and BU came up. Coach Saglarski, Lenny Saglarski, and Steve Cedarchuk were coaching at BC at the time, and Ben Smith and Jack Parker were coaching at BU at the time. And the North Country was not very friendly to those Boston teams that trip.
I bet. And for people that don't know, like, I mean, outside of Boston, right? I mean, I know what it was like. Everybody who played hockey in New England was wanting to go to BU. How did other coaches like you break through recruiting wise when they had such a stranglehold on that whole area?
Try to find your own area where you could be an expert. And so we would go into the Ottawa Valley a lot. We'd go into Quebec a lot. I'd go into the Western New England prep schools a lot. Started really going heavy in Saskatchewan a lot. At that time, the Saskatchewan Junior League was really good. Notre Dame and Wilcox, Saskatchewan had so many good players at the time. I'm thinking about Weyburn Red Wings. I'm thinking about North Battleford, Yorkton, Saskatchewan. I go into all these towns all the time, Jimmy, and fruitful places for hockey players. Going to Minnesota, we took Mike Terwilliger out of Minnesota. A lot of people were mad at us at the time because they thought he was going to stay in Minnesota at one of the schools, whether it was going to be St. Cloud or whether it was going to be Minnesota or Minnesota Duluth. And we took Mike out of there to St. Lawrence. So we didn't really try to compete with them because
You just sort of said they've got that.
Yeah, just say, you know what, that we're not getting Keith Tkachuk.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. Coach Parker's daughter is married to Scott LaChance.
Uh-huh.
Scott LaChance is from Western Mass, and he played for Gary Dineen with the Springfield Olympics, called the Picks at the time. Legendary program. Billy Guerin was one of his teammates. Yep. Another one of his teammates was Bobby Kellogg, who ended up being a third-round pick of the Chicago Blackhawks. So what we did, which was not against the rules, we bust that team up, and they would play our JV team when there was actually JV hockey. And so that's how we tried to get Billy Guerin, and we tried to get Bob Kellogg, and we tried to get Scotty. We tried to get all three.
Yeah.
That was the only thing I would say where maybe we got in a little too deep.
Yeah.
We just got in a little too deep.
Giving off secrets right as we bring on the legendary coach right now. Jack Parker from Boston University and new Hall of Fame inductee joining us here on the Eye Test. Hey, Coach, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
We are so good, Coach. Congratulations. Thrilled to death for you. So happy for you.
Thanks for your help, Pierre.
Coach, you obviously had a lot of time to think about, the day when you got that call, but if you could take us through, what was the experience like when you found out?
It was bizarre. I knew it was the day they were announcing who was going to get in the Hall, and I saw on my phone that the Hall of Fame was calling me, and I really thought they were calling me to tell me that one of my former players got in the Hall, and what was my reaction? He took a Tony Amonte, those types, Chris Joy, whatever. And instead, Lenny McDonald told me that I was the one getting in the Hall. And I was flabbergasted by it. I remember saying to him, Lenny, I know who you are because everybody knows who you are. I know you have no idea who I am. But, anyway.
No, that's not true. Coach, nobody gets to have these accolades like you're having now without mentorship. How much of a mentor was Jack Kelly for you?
Oh, yeah.
He was fabulous for me. In every way. I was a player for him, and when I was playing for him, I thought he was a great coach. And I got out of school. I was a finance major in the business school. He knew a friend of his was a president of a Boston bank. He got me a job right off the bat, right out of college, as a banker, and that's what I thought I was going to be. I then get.
Whoop. We'll get Coach back right there.
All right. It's all right. Yeah. We'll get it.
Connection issues.
Yeah.
All good. So we thought it was going to be a bank.
Just for our viewers at home.
Yeah.
Coach Kelly was a legendary coach. Coach at BU, played at BU, was in the WHA, and his son David Kelly is the guy that wrote LA Law. Here, Coach is back.
All right, there's Coach. We got him. We got no sound. One sec. We can't hear you, Coach.
He'll get it. He'll get it. Here we go. I think we got him. Nope.
Nope. Still can't hear you. Sorry. Coach Kelly, I always get him confused here with Snooks Kelly. Totally different person.
So Snooks Kelly was at Boston College.
Right.
And so that was the Battle of Comm Ave. I mean, between those two guys. And it does go back that far where they actually coached against each other. Snooks Kelly was older. Coach Kelly from BU, Jack, passed away in 2020. His son, Mark, was a head scout for Chicago Blackhawks when they were winning the Stanley Cups. People don't know that.
Yeah.
And David is married to Michelle Pfeiffer, the legendary actress. So there's a lot of moving parts there. It's pretty amazing. One of the coolest things, I'm working for Scotty and for Bob and for Craig Patrick and Brian Burke, all these amazing, I've had such a privilege and honor to work for all these people. Jimmy, one of the coolest things was I was at the All-Star game in New York as a head coach of the Hartford Whalers, and a gentleman tapped me on the shoulder. And he said, I'd like to talk to you. And sure, because we were in a private room. I knew he wasn't like a dangerous humanoid or anything. And he says, you and I have something in common. I go, what's that? He goes, head coach of the Hartford Whalers. He goes, but they were called New England when I was there.
Right.
And I was like, really? You're Jack Kelly? He goes, yeah. And he goes, you know me? I'm like, yeah, I do. I know every coach that ever coached here. And we shook hands, and he said, I coached at Colby College. And I said, I coached at Babson College. He goes, I do. And it was amazing to talk to him. He passed away in 2020, Jimmy. Mm-hmm. He would have been an older gentleman when he passed, but he was an intense hockey man. He was a really good hockey guy.
I'm glad you went there, though, because I'm a big fan of finding out the mentors of people. And, think of all the people that Jack Parker has mentored, right? But to find out who was behind that, that's interesting to me. And that's great to know.
Well, the one thing, and when we get Coach back, I really think it's important. I don't think people realize, Jerry York has gone into the Hockey Hall of Fame, the legendary coach from Clarkson, Bowling Green, and Boston College. And we'll get to Coach Parker now. You back, Coach? No, he's got to turn his mic on.
I know, it's StreamYard. StreamYard's been giving a lot of people.
You might have to turn his mic on.
Turn your mic on, guys. Coach, if you look at the bottom, you see on the bar there, it's got the mic and the camera. If you just press the mic.
Oh,
yep, you got something.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. This must be Jerry York playing a prank on him, huh?
You back?
No.
I hear you a little, Coach. I feel no.
Let me.
You know what? Why doesn't Shane get him on the phone? Can Shane get him on the phone?
I don't think we can from Shane's studio. It's only from our central headquarters, from the actual central head. Let's try. Get him again.
One more. No.
It's just the reception, I think.
Yeah.
It happens.
It's okay. Shane, we'll tell Coach we'll get in touch with him. Coach we'll get in touch with him, and we'll try to do it another way.
Yeah, we'll get him on again for sure.
Yeah, we'll get him on. We don't want to. I know he's really busy. I know that for sure.
So, I imagine he's getting ready to go out to Toronto for that.
Yeah.
So go on, as you were saying, Pierre. We didn't mean to cut you off about New York.
No, but I was gonna. No, you weren't at all. And what I want to say is, one of the things that's really cool about both Coach York and Coach Parker, how many players they've coached that have played in the NHL, 50 or more games. It's over 50 players, Jimmy, for both men. That's an amazing accomplishment for both guys. Now, Coach York's coached a few more because he started younger at Clarkson, and then he moved on to Bowling Green, and then obviously to BC. And Coach Parker stayed at BU the whole time. But to coach 50 or more players, 50 who have played 50 or more games in the NHL, That's an amazing thing. I'm not talking about American League. I'm not talking about Europe. Just on pure NHL games. And Coach Parker's got guys like Kachuk that have over 1,000, Amonte, McEachran over 900. You start looking at the guys, and then you think about the 1980 Olympic team with Micah Ruzioni, who was the captain, of Dave Silk, Jimmy Craig, excuse me. And there's one more, and I don't want to miss it, Jack O'Callahan.
Mm-hmm.
Jack O'Callahan. So you Silk, Ruzioni, O'Callahan, and Craig. He had all those guys.
It's
amazing. One of the biggest moments in hockey history is the 1980 Olympic team, without a doubt.
I think back to Pierre, and it was such a horrible, heartbreaking moment. But with what happened with Travis Roy, and I know some of the players that were on that team with him, and to a man, each of them says we would have never got through that without Coach Parker. He just guided us through what was an impossible moment at the time.
There's a reason why I love working with you. That is such a good point. People forget that because it's so long ago. Travis just passed away not long ago. I wish Coach Parker were here now, because one of the things I was going to ask him, and I, in all my research for the Hall of Fame committee in particular, and I can't tell you this with comfort, one of the things I found out doing my research, that he would always have a movie night with Travis, whether it was once a week, twice a month, whatever accommodated Travis the best, because obviously he was in a wheelchair. And they had an amazing relationship that was never talked about publicly.
No.
It was just respect on respect. And for those that aren't aware, Travis Roy's first shift in college hockey as a freshman, he went in to make a forecheck play against University of North Dakota at Walter Brown Arena, and he never ever walked again. He broke his neck on his first ever shift.
Yep. And for those out there too, it's an amazing book he wrote. I read it. It was unreal. 11 seconds, a story of tragedy, courage, and triumph. Worth the read there. It's just so inspiring what he went on to do for those who suffered the same injury as him, and how much he, became a pioneer of trying to make life better for them.
One of the guys that really helped him, there are a couple. Mike Greer was one, the general manager in San Jose. And the other one is Chris Drury, the general manager of the New York Rangers. Drury and he were extremely close.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that because I would go to, I think, 2 or 3 pizza dinners with them. Drury owns a chain of pizzerias in Connecticut, and Travis would come down and speak at some of the schools. And we went to a couple dinners, and Chris was there, and obviously Travis was there, and it was pretty amazing.
Yeah. So I always remember just talking to those guys and what he meant to that whole situation when they were going through it. All right, Pierre, let's get to our sponsors. And by the way, I'll start off with them, and then we'll get to our new sponsor, Point S. Vago, our wonderful sponsor. I got a great text from Angelo. He's been listening, and he gave me some credit for my successful picks last week. And he says, Jimmy, we're all set. We got your gluten-free pasta ready to go for next week. So cannot wait for that. A week from tomorrow, we will be there. And Pierre, are we allowed to announce what we'll be doing there before we eat? Yeah. All right. We will be broadcasting live from Vago at 1336 Green Avenue in Westmount. Really looking forward to that and meeting the crew there. And, of course, to seeing our wonderful Sick Media crew as well in person. But Vago combines old world classics and new Italian dishes for over 23 years. Private dining rooms for any occasion, open Monday to Saturday evenings, and lunch from Tuesday to Friday. They are located, as I said, at 1336 Green Avenue in Westmount. For reservations, call 514-846-1414. Again, that's 514-846-1414. And it was great to hear from Angela today and get that text as well. And by the way, Pierre, thanks for the text transfer from Jimmy Hughes. Jimmy, I appreciate it.
Jimmy, thank you very much for that. And I forwarded it to Jimmy right away.
Yep.
That was kind of
they're listening. We love having everybody listen. We appreciate the support. And of course, our new sponsor, Point S, where you can go right now. Just an amazing deal they've got going, which I unfortunately don't have the script in front of me. I don't know where it went, but I can wing it. I'm good at that. So right now what they're doing is they are giving you there we go. I got it. Point S and GT Radial are offering you the chance to win a new set of GT Radial winter tires plus free installation at a Point S garage. That's a total of value of $1,000. In order to participate, you must go to the Sick Podcast Instagram page and hit that like button and then comment on the pinned post and follow the Sick Podcast and Point S on Instagram. The contest ends on November 16th. Point S is your trusted garage for complete vehicle care. That is something that could come in very handy in the coming weeks and months as you travel through the Northeast and up in Canada as well. All right. And of course, our other sponsor, Betway, where you can go all the way with Betway and bet the beauties right now. We've got a great membership deal, new membership deal, I should say, still going right now. If you go to that QR code, it'll direct you to where you can sign up. Or if you're just listening, you can go to the website, go to the membership section and fill out your details there. You can get up to $300 back on your first deposit, even if your first bet loses. So fill it out right there. You must be 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. It is not available in Ontario. Always bet responsibly. And let me give you my picks tonight. I got three of them, three separate games. I like the St. Louis Blues to go into Washington and get their second straight win. They snapped that losing streak. I think they got a little momentum going right now. Washington's kind of up and down. Alex Ovechkin's got, I wonder if tonight, maybe, I hope it's not tonight with me picking the Blues, but sooner or later, he's going to break out here. The Columbus Blue Jackets, I like to go into Calgary. You can get them on the reverse puck line, which means they have to win by 2. Columbus minus 1.5. Great value there at plus 220. And then I like the Blackhawks to go in and take the first period, get them on the first period puck line. That's at plus 220. So they have to win the first period. If they tie, then you lose. If they lose, obviously you lose. But a lot of teams come back from a road trip like Vancouver is. They're a little flat in the first period. Who knows what will happen the rest of the game? I like Chicago in the first. All right, let's get to the Q&A. What do we got? Seamoke. Pierre, what have you made of Ehlers' start with the Canes? It seems like he hasn't really hit his stride yet. I'd agree, Seamoke.
Yeah, and everybody's going to celebrate his first goal last night against the New York Rangers, which was a seeing eye shot. It was a great shot, short side, long side off the post and in. He can be better. The team in Carolina can be better too. I still think they're trying to find their way a little bit. It's a bit of a disjointed lineup right now, especially in defense. They're trying to figure it all out. They've got a lot of, over the last couple of years, think about all the guys that are gone. Pesci's gone. Hamilton back is gone. You look at Jacob Slavin is injured. You look at Brady Shea is gone. You look at the big man out, Brett Burns is out in Colorado. So you've lost a lot of D. So I think they're just a work in progress right now. But that was a good win for them last night. Kochetkov was really good in goal, especially in the first period. If you didn't watch the game, you'd think he was great the whole game.
Yeah,
he was the first periods where he was great. The Rangers, the last 40 minutes of that game were nothing. They did nothing.
I don't know what to say anymore about the Rangers. I'm not even going to try.
Yes, you do. Tell the truth. Say what you feel.
Okay. I mean, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, Pierre, but I just think that there needs to be an evaluation of everything. And I don't think it's just on the ice right now. I mean, and I'm not saying anybody should lose their job up top. I just think they need to reevaluate. What are we? What do I want this team to be? What direction are we heading in right now? And they have to do it soon. Them and the Oilers right now, I think, are getting a little too comfy thinking, hey, as long as we stay within striking distance of the playoffs, we can make a push later on and we'll get in. But those are two teams right now that I think really need to look in the mirror and start to get cooking.
I thought the Rangers overvalued their roster in the summer. I said it to you numerous times. I said they have to keep shopping. They're not good enough. And I'm going to stay with that. I think that they've got overvalued people on their team, and some of them have gotten old.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the reality of the business. It's a hard business. It's a hard business. So I'll never forget the late Bill Torrey. I was interviewing with him for the Florida Panther situation, and I won't share everything from the interview, but one of the things he definitely said is you need to know when guys are getting long in the tooth, and unfortunately, sometimes you got to move on from them, even though it's painful to do because you've got such an affinity to them and their family. But unfortunately, it's part of the business. I think the Rangers overvalued their players this summer. They didn't shop enough, and so that's a bit of an issue for them.
All right, next question. What do we got? Renaissance Resistor. Why hasn't there been more media attention to there we go to the Rangers' disastrous moves? Truber and Kreider look 5 years younger now, and losing a potential lottery pick in this year's draft. Exactly.
We agree 100%, but we've been talking about this for a while, and I'm not trying to pick a fight with anybody in New York or management people who I just told you a great Chris Drury story.
Yeah.
I know Mike Salt. David Quinn used to work with us at Europa Cup. I had Joe Sacco on the ice with his brother David when they were young players. So, I mean, again, you know, you respect those guys. Tons of it. It's not there for those coaches. This is not on them, by the way.
Nope.
I see some people some people are ripping into the coaches in New York. Really? You're going to blame them? They didn't pick the players.
Yeah. Yeah.
These
And by the way,
didn't give it.
Pierre and I are on. We always say, like, there's certain teams you want them to do well because it's good for the whole league, and the Rangers are one of those. So
They are definitely one of those.
Yep.
100%.
all right, next question. Sound the siren. What's up, buddy? Guys, on Carolina, watching Nikishin get thrust into top pairing with injuries, he looks the part. Additionally, what do you make of his potential leadership? He was a C for Scar for a reason.
Yeah, he was. That was in Russia. And I'm not taking anything away from the Russians, but I would just say, you know, language skills matter, understanding of culture matters, travel situations matter. Give him a little time. He hadn't been around the league yet. He hadn't played in every building in the league yet. Give him some time. Let's see how it works out.
All right, next question. Perlo Wisdom. What's up, Perlo? How much is the condensed schedule affecting teams this year and why?
Not right now.
Not yet.
Not yet. It will, though. Once the big injury bug kicks in for a lot of these guys, like Vancouver's kind of gone through it a little bit. Washington's about to go through it, especially without Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Yep.
We'll see. There are other teams that have had some injury situations, like Philadelphia. Ty Forster, how long he's out? Toronto's had a plethora of injuries. You know, there have been some injuries around. So Ottawa without Brady. You know, Ottawa, they played on Saturday. They don't play again until Thursday, tomorrow. And I know for a fact that they had hard practices. And that was smart. That was smart. That was really smart. So, I mean, the condensed schedule is probably going to start to kick in right around after Thanksgiving. Right after Thanksgiving, you're going to see that'll be the torture test from there until probably the end of January.
Yeah.
So you're looking at, because you got to take 4 or 5 days off at Christmas. You're probably looking at 30. You're probably looking at almost 45 days.
The grind will be
It's
good.
going to be a grind.
All right. Next question. What do we got? Ethan Russell. What's up, Ethan? Add another team to list who needs 2 Cs. Unfortunately, to see PLD out for a while.
Where are they writing these things when we talk?
Could you see them try and make an upgraded center considering their recent struggles without him? That's an interesting one.
I think they will, but I think they'll give it a little time.
Me too.
It's like, you know, Toronto's giving it a little time. Florida's giving it a little time.
Yeah.
Some of these teams, LA, when they lost Kopitar, they gave it a little time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. By the way, that was a big win for them over Winnipeg last night, LA.
Oh, it was really big.
Yeah, first
time.
Yep. All right, next question. Franco, Pierre, you talk about coaches' standards. Looking at Suzuki, Hudson, and Demidov with their work ethic and commitment to the team, can standards be set by players? I'm thinking of McKinnon.
100%. Absolutely.
You want that.
You want that. You know, our championship teams in Pittsburgh, almost every guy was Joey Mullen and Larry Murphy would be begging me to go on the ice early, 30 to 40 minutes before the other guys. And then Yarmer would want to stay on at the end. I mean, Jimmy McKenzie and Jeff Sanders, I remember those guys for hours. Chris Pronger, hours after practice. Yeah, no, players set standards. Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure. All right, next question. Daniel Duran, 357. Pierre, do you think St. Louis doesn't want Arbor fighting at all?
No, I don't agree with that. No.
Yeah.
He knows that there were guys when he was in Tampa that would go after LeCavier and go after him and go after Brad Richards and even go after Danny Boyle on defense. He knows you got to have deterrence, and they had them down in Tampa, and they had them in New York when he was there, and Montreal is going to have it too. Arbor's one of them. I think Jaden Strubal's another one of them.
Yep, I agree. Strubal's really growing on me. You were right about him, Pierre. All right, next question. Tag-N2H, Pierre, if you were coaching a team like the Rangers, who are playing much better on the road versus at home. What can you do to get your team to play better at home? That's a good question. I was thinking about that.
It's a really good question. If a lot of teams, for whatever reason, they get too comfy, cozy at home, I'd make it uncomfortable for them. And in New York, and this is a compliment to the organization, to the ownership, and to the way it's been run for all these years, those guys are spoiled.
Yeah.
The players there. It's okay. Just say it. It happens. They have amazing ownership. They have amazing resources. You know, you go up to their practice facility in Tarrytown, New York, and you see how those guys eat, and they don't take a nickel out of their pocket.
Nope.
I mean, they are treated amazingly well. So they get spoiled. And it comes down to the Bowman school of you can't let your players get comfy and cozy. And one of the things Scotty did to change that, and I'll give you an example, and every city's different, most of his players had children in school. So rather than have practices be at 10 to 10:30, which most of the teams did in those days, because if you had to usually take commercial flights out of town.
Right.
Scotty, when they were home, would change the practices to 12 o'clock. The reason being, he wanted the guys to be able to practice, get their massage and, you know, whatever, but they couldn't go to the tavern for a beer because they had to go pick up their children at school.
Brilliant.
There was always a method to the madness. And when he told me that story one time, really, I think I was still coaching college when he told me that story. He had this amazing twinkle in his eye, like I masterminded that one.
Good stuff. All right, next question. What do we got? Everything Habs. Hey guys, absolutely love the show. Are you guys surprised? Thank you. Are you guys surprised that no other team beat the trade offer of Drysdale in a second for Gauthier? Did the fact that he wanted out affect his value that much?
That and people didn't respect him enough coming out of BC. I remember Jimmy and I had just started doing the show, and I was like, that's a steal for Anaheim. Oh my gosh. I mean, and it's not a knock on Drysdale, who I think is a tremendous player. I watched him play on the same, young person team with Cole Perfetti. Like they were amazing. I watched all those guys play together in Toronto when they were kids, because my kid was playing against them, and the showdowns were amazing. Mid-Fairfield versus the Toronto Junior Canadians were amazing, Jimmy. Amazing games. Drysdale was part of that. And no, I think he's a good player. Just he's injured a lot. He's small. And I just thought Gauthier was going to be a really good player right from the day he got drafted. Here's a part of this draft story that nobody talks about. Gauthier's father and Greg Brown, the head coach at BC, they played pro hockey together in Sweden. So there was an amazing relationship built in before Cutter actually went to BC.
Okay.
To play for Greg.
Gotcha.
They knew it. So people didn't know that when the draft was going on. And that's why if you look at the runway he had at BC, like it was really good.
Yeah.
He was really good.
It's funny too, just a quick side note. Last year, I think you remember, Pierre, when Greg Cronin was coaching, he left passes for my daughter and I to go and check out the game day skate. He was really good to Maddie, Carter Gauthier was, and they talked for a bit. And so now she's always checking. I was trying to tell him, like, this kid's going to be a star, Maddie. You don't know about him now, but he's going to be a star. So now she's following it and checking the stats. She's like, wow, you and Pierre were right. I'm like, yeah, he told you.
Yeah, but anyways, I think Philadelphia did okay on that deal. I think if they had to do it over, and this is not a knock on Drysdale. It is not. It's hard to find power forwards like that. Like this guy's going to be a true power forward.
All right, next question. Bill Van Vago, how much contact do NHL teams have with their foreign prospects playing abroad? Do certain foreign teams appreciate NHL team discussion, or do most say bugger off until you get them?
The best way to do it is to make sure you're proactive and you eyeball people and say, look, I'm coming in. This is why I'm coming in. There's nothing against your program. I'd like to take your prospect out for dinner or have coffee with them or spend time with them. We're not going to try to change the way he plays. We're coming over just to show the player respect and to watch and make notes. And when he comes to our development camps, we're going to make the appropriate adjustments, but we're not going to mess with the integrity of your program. Yeah. I think it's really important to do that. I remember, well, definitely in Sweden at the time with Marcus Naslund. Just doing the math here. A little bit of Russia, but we always, like the people that I worked for, they always wanted to be up front. There was never any hijinks or behind the scenes. Maybe some teams do that. I don't know, but we didn't do that. The groups that I worked for never did that.
All right, next question. A to Z me. How does a team score 1 goal in 5 home games? How is that even possible? Yikes! Wow. If we knew, we'd be making more money.
Oh man, I don't know.
Yep, it's an enigma. All right, next question. Stephen Cardinal. Good show, guys. Would you get Trocheck or Zaka for the Habs? If Zaka could work out, I'd give it a whirl, but I don't think the Bruins are trading him anytime
I
soon.
don't think they're moving him, and
Yeah, with the Lindholm injury.
yeah, and with Trocheck, I still think they vision him being part of the fabric of their group. Their group's a little different than most.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Next question. Last night's game was a good thing for the Habs. Better a game like that happens now than in March. Thoughts?
Oh yeah, no. Hey John, we agree. They'll learn a lot from that game. The coaches will learn a lot from that game. The leadership will learn a lot. But I'll tell you one thing, I'm not taking anything away from Nick Suzuki in that game. Doug Armstrong, the general manager of Team Canada for the Olympics, he was at that game last night in Montreal at the Bell Center. And I'll tell you right now, that guy played his butt off. And if you ask me, Konechny or Suzuki, they both are eligible to be on Team Canada. And Konechny played in the Four Nations last year. Based on last night, that's not even close.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And I'm a Konechny fan. I am. I watched a kid play for the Ottawa 67s, and he was really good for a long time. But Suzuki was at another level last night. So there was a lot of good stuff from Montreal, too. There was. Hey, people want to rip on Montembeault? Go watch all the breakaways that Philadelphia had. Watch some of the saves that guy made at key times in games to either allow the Canadiens to come back in the game, tie the game, or even get a lead. But the other thing is Demidov is a superstar.
Oh, my gosh.
He is. He's already a superstar. He's not going away. He's just going to get better.
Yeah. And by the way, like we said, Pierre, those are the type of games that would leave you sleepless in the afternoon. You just knew maybe that could happen. And it did, but credit to them for bouncing back and getting a point.
I mean, I like what Marty said afterwards. There are 82 games. Not everyone is going to be in a Rembrandt. They're not all going to be perfect.
Nope. Exactly.
They got a point. Move on.
All right. Next question. What do we got? MS Danell. The Habs have been dominant at times this season. What do you think they need to keep playing at that level?
Power play keep being effective 30% or more, which is unbelievable when you think about it. Penalty killing could be a little bit better, but rest Matheson and Dobson's got to get more involved in the offense, which I think eventually he will. They need to get one more center. They need one more center. Yeah. You saw what happened last night, Jimmy. Kapanen was adequate, but he wasn't elite.
Exactly.
And so that affects where Kirby, even though Kirby had 2 goals, it affects how Kirby Dach plays. It affects how Jake Evans plays. They need one. I think they need one more guy, obviously, at the forward position.
Well, we shall see how long they'll wait to do it and go get him, but they will get him. I guarantee that. All right. That's it for our questions here on the eye test on a Wednesday here. Excuse me, in November. Thanks to Jack Parker, new Hall of Fame inductee. We apologize for technical difficulties. I was just texting with him. We'll try and get him on next week to look back on what the experience was like for him as he was inducted this coming Monday. Thanks to Shane working the boards. Thanks to all of you for your questions, and thanks to everyone listening and watching. He's Pierre McGuire. I'm Jimmy Murphy. We'll talk to you here on the Eye Test on the Sick Podcast Network again tomorrow at 4:00.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.